Hi friends, Chris Kelly here. It is time to have a look at what's going on in the market. Before we do, I just want to put a huge thank you out to everybody that made it last week to our KMG annual pie event. It was a huge turnout. I think we went through 235 pies. I ended up having to go back to Costco and pick up more pies the next day because we had people that we didn't have enough apple pies for people that had come for apple pies. So that's a good problem to have in the scheme of things. It was a fantastic time. So thank you that everybody to everybody that came and to those that couldn't make it. Again, life's busy. I totally understand it. We'd love to see you at our next event, and I'll just say the next event coming up is right after New Year. We're going to be watching Avatar up at Sandy Cinemas. And I think the newest Puss in Boots for those that like animation. So should be fun. Stay tuned for more information on that. Well, that said, let's segue over and have a quick look at what's going on in the statistical world of real estate in Portland Metro. The lowest number of new homes entering the market that I've ever seen. I have been doing this post every week for not quite 3 years. I think I started it early in 2020, right before or as the pandemic had started. So, this is a really low number. And maybe you might be asking yourself, well, who cares? What does that even matter? This also, all three of these are low numbers, which says that the overall activity in the market this last week was low. Well, obviously some of that is it's Thanksgiving week. And you can go back each year and look and see that the numbers were lower because, well, here they are. But none of them have been that low. None of them have ever looked like that. But you know what's interesting is these low numbers, the lack of new inventory coming to the marketplace are contributing to the houses that are selling, which are less, as you can see numerically, you can see it's less than the last 3 years, including pre-pandemic numbers. Look at what was happening at the end of 2019 this time. A lot more things were selling than were coming to market at that particular time in the market. But what happens with this low amount of inventory is the houses that are selling are still selling in a relatively low amount of time. The median days on the market is 21. The average is 41. Compare that to pre-pandemic, 32 and 65. These were crazy times when even during the holidays, we were still in single digits for median days on the market. But what it's also doing is buoying prices. Because, the one thing that's true that just doesn't change is, it's not like people stop needing or wanting to move because interest rates went to 7 or because the market's slower or faster. Like I said, people's lead variables or the leading variables that cause people to move have nothing to do directly with interest rates or statistics. They have everything to do with life circumstances. I'm going to keep beating that drum and keep beating that drum. So, but really, these low numbers are keeping pricing relatively buoyed. If you look at the median and average sales price, still higher than this time last year. So it went really high and then it came down a bit, and now it's kind of leveled off and even come up a little bit. But that's being buoyed, and the velocity of sales, how quickly things that are selling, it remains relatively fast as a result. So it's an interesting dynamic for sure. There's an article that I looked at last week, and I'm gonna post a link to it for you if you're so interested. But it basically talks about inventory and interest rates because, as I've said, interest rates have actually come down a bit into, I don't know where they are now, but they were in the mid 6s. So and even lower than that, even into the lower 6s. So And if you're looking at products like the 2-1 buy down and some of these products that are out that allow people to have a lower start rate, you were able to get into a start rate in the fours. If you did a 3-2-1 buy down, you could, which are very expensive to do, but you could get into a start rate in the threes. So, that coupled with the fact that you don't have to pay over list every time anymore, or maybe not at all. It's really lent itself to be a good time potentially to be doing something. But anyway, like I said, this article it kind of talks about interest rates coming down, people jump back in the market. That coupled with the fact that inventory's low, it makes it both attractive and difficult. And I went to a conference in September, and that was one of the things that was talked about and predicted was, look, interest rates are going to capitulate, and as they do, people are going to jump in and pause, and jump into the market and pause, and that's kind of what's happened in the last month. Like I said, personally speaking, we've had a pretty good amount of activity with my team and I. And that's because we've had a pretty good amount of listing inventory, and all of a sudden those listings are selling. Why? Well, I'd love to think it's because I'm fantastic, but really it's because interest rates crept down. People jumped in the market. And that's what's going to happen probably over the next year plus. That's certainly what was talked about at the conference I went to in September, and I'm seeing that play out. So anyway, I hope you find this information to be of value, because that's very important to me, to be of value to you. So anyway, as I always say, until the next time, I hope you and yours are staying well.